welcome to episode number 5 of the Sheep and Cheerful podcast. I'm your host and CEO of all things Sheep and Cheerful, and my name is Nikki. You can find me on Instagram as Clara Peggotty and on Ravelry also as Clara Peggotty. I live on the south coast of the United Kingdom with my family and our 2 dogs, who probably most of you will know by now, Honey and Henry. Honey is currently in the room with me, sitting over there, looking out the window because Henry has gone out for a walk with Jonah. Jonah's taken Henry for a walk. So she's now watching for them to come back and waiting for Hannah to come down and take her for a walk. So it's a beautiful sunny day. I saw somewhere that it's going to be the hottest day of the year so far here. So it is really, really lovely outside. We've got kids both sides, young kids of our house. That side over there have a swimming pool, so they're out in that. That side over there have one of the big freestanding pools, like a massive paddling pool. They're out playing. And my 2 kids, who are 23 and 25, both want to have a swimming pool now. Joe said it makes him feel totally left out, that, you know, either side. Well, we've got the fish pond, haven't we? So is that if you're desperate. We do sometimes in the summer get, I've got a little baby bath, plastic bathtub. So I have been known to sit out in the garden with my feet in cold water. How old am I? Excuse me. Anyway, so yes, back to the details. The Sheep and Cheerful podcast is a podcast all about knitting, weaving, spinning, sewing, doing all sorts of things to live the most cheerful, creative life that I can, really, my just day-to-day endeavours at creativity. So I know I'm going to have to stop shortly because when Henry comes back, he's going to want to come charging in here. So I thought, well, let's just do the first little bit and kick this off with what I'm wearing, which I can't actually answer because it's old and I can't remember. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I will look it up and I will be back when I have got just a little bit of my act together. Okay, let's try again, shall we? I'm back. Henry's back. He's under the table here. You can just about see Honey over there. And the bread is at the bread maker, so we are hopefully all set. As I say every week, and I hadn't mentioned yet, that I apologise for the sound of little doggy paws on our wooden floor because they will be moving around today, but hopefully they might be a little bit settled at the moment. So fingers crossed for that. Right, what I'm wearing. I am wearing, well, one of my first, what I call grown-up knits, when I first discovered kind of indie designers and nice yarn. So this is the May cardigan, M-A-Y. So to be honest, I don't actually need it on, but I wanted to show it today because I found it. I was clearing out my cupboards and I found it and I'd forgotten I had it. I think I would actually quite like to put some sort of clasp or button there. But can you, look at that texture on there, it's a bit pilly. I think it's fisherman's rib. It has the weirdest construction. You knit up the sides and round the back, and then you pick up here and knit down. I take it off now. But it's one of those that's really lovely just to throw on, and oh, look how creased it is. This is knit from Quince and Company in their Piper yarn, which is a lace weight. Now I've got it open here, lace weight mohair type of thing. It's not what is Piper? Well, it's a wool mohair blend basically. So there is a halo. Oh, whether you can see it. I've also moved, those of you who notice, I've moved the angle of the camera. So we're more pointing, the window's there, and I was thinking I'll get more light rather than being over there, so it's facing into the light, which throws it. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's May by Bristol Ivy, and it was published 2016, and I probably knit it around then as well. But it's screw upable. Take that whichever way you will. But it's, like I say, it's one of those, it's just that I do believe this is fisherman's rib, but just look at how, I love that. It's so pretty. Makes me want to knit something else in that now. Actually, I think this is very similar. Obviously, you've seen me wear the Lynham tee, which is also Bristol Ivy, and I think she uses that type of stitch across the front bit, the top bit. Anyway, that was today's selected piece to share with you. I was tempted to bring down a couple of my older knits. A couple of years ago, I knit some ponchos, and I knit a Kate Davies poncho and a Martin Story poncho, which is massive. But maybe nearer the autumn winter, if I'm still going, then I'll share those with you, because they're great fun. They are. Anyway, let's close my laptop because I needed to check on that pattern and start proper. So you've seen what I'm wearing. How's my week been? My week has been a bit weird, a bit of a funny week this week. Couldn't seem to get myself going this week, and I did so much knitting, but I did so much tinking as well, so I've seemed to have gone backwards and forwards, and I don't really feel I've achieved very much. I was a bit cheesed off last night when I was thinking about what I'd done and what I'd achieved, so that was a bit disappointing. I've been doing what I have decided to call the WIP-excuse-me, and I'm gonna coin that phrase. Let's make sure I wrote it. No, I didn't even write it down. It was the WIP-interrupt-me. No, it wasn't. It was the WIP-excuse-me. So you know you have dances like a lady's excuse me and a gentleman's excuse me, where the ladies are allowed to go and say to the couple dancing, excuse me, I would like to dance with this person now. I think that's what I've been doing this week. My whips have been doing a WIP-excuse-me, because I've been putting one down, picking one up, putting one down, picking one up, and I've not spent loads of time on one thing, but not anything more. I've kind of spread myself around a bit this week. So I don't have a huge amount of progress on anything. Well, I do to me, but not that I think will be particularly interesting to you, but I'll show you what I've done. But it's not been terribly satisfying, put it that way. I was determined to make really good progress on my Paloma sweater, which I have. I'll show you that in a bit as well. And I'd done a few other things, but yeah, I just didn't quite have it. And I think I was just on a bit of a dip this week, but there you go. Oh, I tell you what else I spent a long time working on my knitting record cards. I had so much fun, but I was hours on those, fiddling around with them and getting them working. So that was also a lot of time. And of course, you know, you spend it doing one thing, you can't do knitting. But there you are. Hopefully, because I laid so many foundations last week, then next week I can really make visible progress. Gary's well as well. He's doing okay, still taking the medication. He's due to have his next lot of meds in the next week or so, because they have to find the right balance of the different medicines for him. But he's doing well. He is still working away from home, and that's obviously weird, like it is for all of us. His office has reopened and they are encouraging people back to work now within a safe environment, but because he has the shield, then he can't go back, so he's running it from home. Kids are at home, as I've already mentioned. Henry had a bath this morning. I'm bathing him once a week now. I wouldn't normally bath the dogs, but he's got a few hygiene problems, say no more. So he had a bath, and I got Joe to film it because he's hilarious in the bath. He just is so unimpressed So we'll put that at the end of the podcast. And the book review I'm going to do today is another lovely book, an oldie but goldie. It's The Darling Buds of May by H.E. Bates. I'm going to be talking about that later. So should we go on to move on to finished objects? And I have one finished object. And it is no less the Untitled headband. Now, I'm going to put it on, but it'll take me a minute just to style it. It was too hot to put on and leave on. But I don't immediately look as gorgeous as Kate Bird or Rachel Price. But got my little plaits there. There you go. Ta-da. What do you think? Got the twist there. It's actually all right, isn't it? It's a very definitive look. I think Gary will probably make some rude comment about it, and my father probably would, but I actually really like it. Hannah has decided that it looks better on me than her, because she wouldn't wear it. She's not brave enough to wear something quite like this, unless she was skiing, and she doesn't ski, so, you know. But I really like it. It was way too big. It was way too long. I've had to, okay, let me take it off. So have one last look at that twist. That twist, my goodness, that took a lot of brain power. Let me just turn around on my swingy chair. There you go. So you can see it's quite, I mean, I've turned that over in that under. It's very wide at the back. But anyhow, there you go. Excuse me, once again, sorry, I feel I have to say this every week. It's an asthmatic cough and I apologise for it. I'm just used to it now, but it is irritating. So have a close-up look. I mean, there you go. This is, yeah, that's where I've joined it. So you knit it in one long rectangle. My hair now, sorry. You knit it as one long rectangle with the twist in the middle, which I'll talk about in a moment, and then you seam it at the back. And what I did, I can show you the inside. In fact, I've done it so invisibly that you can't see it. So that much is how much I took off from the length of it. So I've overlapped them. I've overlapped it, I've seamed it there, and I've seamed it there. So you've just got that double thickness there, but it would have been way too long and it looked ridiculous. Hannah and I put it on last night. We both tried it on before I seamed it. And I was like, this is awful. This looks terrible. What is this all about? But this morning I have changed my mind. Look at that yarn as well. That is actually better there. Look at the pops of colour. You've got neon pink and green and one of my hairs there. So this is Down Sheepy Lane Toasty Aran yarn in her Pop Art colourway, which, as she knows, and I say this every time, is probably the most favourite colourway I've ever seen. Excuse me. So then we get to the twist. So not only is this entrelac, which, as you know, I have never done before, so this was my own personal challenge to myself to learn how to knit entrelac. I kind of got the knack of that, and as some of you said last time, it is very straightforward if you're just knitting a scarf or a blanket or something like that. But you've got this bit in the middle, and what you do, you separate two different sides here, knit up two edges, and then you cross it over on the needles and then join it up again to get this cross. Could I get that right? I could not get it right. You have the four constituent parts of this. You have a right edged, a left edge right slanting triangle, a right edged left slanting triangle, a left slanting rectangle and a right slanting rectangle, and that's what the whole pattern is made up from. But obviously when you get to here, that's much narrower, and I just couldn't get my head around it. I had to pull it back so many flipping times. And it's most unlike me to really dig my heels in Maybe because I shared it with you and it was a challenge. Also because I really wanted to see. I mean, this feels absolutely glorious. In the winter, this is going to be fabulous, wearing it instead of a hat. But anyway, I got it done. I think one of the other problems with it, and it could just be me being a plank, and I think I mentioned this last week, is that because this is a free pattern, so I haven't even told you about the pattern, have I? It's a free pattern. I'll give you the details in a most. So it's you just print it out. It's from Knitty magazine. Look at that writing all over it. The trouble I had. And because where you divide for the twist, it's all just written out in longhand in paragraphs. And I just kept misreading it. I just kept missing bits and skipping bits and basically being an idiot. And that's why it kept going wrong. And then pulling it back and trying to read where I was with regard to the pattern and which rectangle I was on wasn't easy either. Still, we prevailed. Yay! I'm happy with that. If I was a good enough techie, we'd have a little marching band going across the screen. So the pattern, let me tell you the pattern, and I will dig it out of my record cards. She says casually, just unclipping it. The pattern is called Grey Gardens and it is from Knitty magazine. If you Google it, there you go. And that's the gorgeous Rachel Price sporting it and looking very stylish. So Grey Gardens, Knitty Spring Summer 2013. I used Aran. I had a skein of Aran weight yarn and that's what it calls for. I went up a needle size because I generally knit quite smaller. Up a needle size makes your stitches bigger, so there's fewer. Yeah, that's right. Oh, do you get a pickle with that? Anyway, and yeah, knit it obviously in a week. It would have been quicker if I hadn't messed it up. And it was great. I did think about doing an entrelac along because, you know, I wanted to say it. And I went on, I had a look on Ravelry. I thought I'd do a bundle of entrelac patterns. But to be honest, and I'm nothing if not honest, they all looked really dated. Apart from a straightforward blanket, a straightforward scarf or a blanket, which were absolutely beautiful. But all the other patterns all looked a little bit sort of 80s. So I don't think I'm going to go with that. I don't think we'll go. If anybody's going to have a go, what I might do is perhaps in a few weeks' time, because amazingly, the number of subscribers is sort of heading towards 1,000, which is unbelievable. It's fantastic. But if we get to 1,000 subscribers, I might just then set up a podcast group in Ravelry and we could have a knit along, a challenge along there. So for me, this one was the challenge to learn entrelac. Also, as you know, I'm knitting on mini circulars as well. That's my other challenge. And we could just do a make along of some sort where you challenge yourself to do something a bit new, try something different, and you could do this headband. Anyway, that's just a thought for future ideas. So, finished object. Actually, you could wear it as a cowl, couldn't you? Don't tell anyone. But before I shortened it, we actually wrapped it around Hannah's boobs. Am I allowed to say that on here? Around her bust, and it made the most fabulous bikini top. But we decided it probably wouldn't hold up. But there you go. Didn't really need to know that, did you? Right, that's my finished object. What are we going to go on to next? Let me briefly mention I'm knitting the Paloma sweater by Espace Tricot, and I have finished the first sleeve. Should I show you? It's only just there. Shall I get it? I wasn't going to show it to you. Okay, I'll get it. Hang on. Oh, see, I'm on a wheelie chair and Henry is right by my feet. And so I have to make sure if I move the chair. Oh, I don't do that. We just go over his paw. I'm sorry. Oh, he's settled back down. He's happy. Right. Paloma sweater has a sleeve. Look at that. It seemed to take forever. I don't really have a problem with Sleeve Island, but it just seemed to take me forever. Like I say, I just think I had a bit of a time reverse of a time-lapse week, time warp week. Everything just seemed to take so much longer. So there's the first sleeve. It's no shaping at all. I didn't bring it in at the cuff. I knit it exactly as per pattern. So that's where we're at. So I have just got this side to go. Oh, so gorgeous. I'm not going to go into details of this knit. If you really like it, just be patient, wait for it as an FO, and I'll give you all the yarn details and everything there. But it really is. I absolutely adore this. And I am now strangely, unexpectedly excited about knitting all things holding Suri alpaca silk double with fingering weight yarn, which I never wanted to be because it's too expensive. Anyway, enough of that. So that was a work in progress. The other thing I've had, which if you watched the previous podcast, you'll know, my other challenge was knitting on two at a time socks. So knitting on one circular needle, both socks concurrently. Now, we agreed, as I said to you last week, I said that I have actually given that the thumbs down. As much as it was easy to do, sort of physically easy to knit, I felt for me the whole idea of socks was having something small and quick to pick up and to do a round of 64 stitches, whereas obviously knitting two at a time, we're up to 128 stitches, and if I had time or the inclination to do that, I'd pick up a shawl or something, a jumper. And a few of you agreed, actually, you knew where I was coming from with that. So I decided just yesterday that I was going to separate them off, these socks off onto two separate needles and just put a little bit of time into one of them. And it literally was just a little bit of time. We sat down last night and watched, what did we watch? New Amsterdam on Amazon Prime, which we enjoy. And I sat and did a bit of knitting, and I have got the first sock almost up to the heel. So, and you'll see from my little ducky stitch marker, that's where I was. And so yesterday I just put that much on, but it's so much quicker. Look how beautiful that is. And that duck. That's from Rachel at So Ray Me. Oh, I just love that. Anyway, so this pattern is the Soul Sisters sock pattern by So Sweet Violet and Taylor S Studio, Jules and Amy. Yarn is by Lottie Knits. It's one of her unicorn tweed colourways. It's so pretty. And then this was a mini skein I had from Life in the Long Grass. And actually, if we put this on my foot, this is my Fish Lips Kiss heel foot sock measure guide thing. And if you buy the Fish Lips Kiss heel pattern, which I did and I love it, everybody complains that, oh, there's 10 pages to read or download, but actually if you just take the trouble to read it once, do the measurement like she suggests, then you're done, aren't you? And I have found it a really good way to do, so I can now put that on there. For a start, you can see a much better representation of the pattern. Sorry, it's my weird big toe thing going on there. And that's where I have to knit to get my heel to work. So I'm not far off for that one. The other one, the second sock will still be at this point, but I will get to the heel hopefully and swap over and do the other foot. Look at the tweed on that. And obviously the way my gauge is working, I'm getting those micro stripes. Love those. And the pattern is so pretty. It's so super pretty. So thank you, Jules and Amy, for that. So that was another learning curve really, because now I know that I can knit two at a time socks, but I don't really care to. So, sorry, that's the Are there any spinners out there? If they're not, this will make you smile. If you're a spinner, you'll know what this is. This is a skein winder for winding skein off a bobbin, winding yarn off of a bobbin, and it's called a niddy noddy. You just got to have one so you can say niddy noddy, haven't you, really? Anyway, I'm distracted again. What's new? Let's have a quick slap of tea. Hang on, and I can casually look around. My new cast on. That was it. Do you remember last week I talked about casting on a hummingbird shawl by Anna Joanna and throwing caution to the wind, I printed it out in colour. And because I've just got a new colour printer, so it's not. That's the one. And what I didn't realise when I cast this on, when I bought it, was that it was a mystery knit-along. And so all these different sections, you can see quite clearly where the sections are, were different clues. I obviously purchased the pattern as one to knit it all the way through. But what it does do, this middle section here starts off with a, I want to say magic loop. Is it magic loop? Magic circle cast on, crochet cast on, where you have the magic circle and you come out with like a spider's web. So I cast that on. The first colour I'm using is this Madeline Tosh singles yarn, which I explained last week. I've lost the tag to, but it's really, really pretty. So I've kept similar colours to that. So with the cream or the natural in the middle, then a pop colour, and then another colour. And I cast on, and again, this was one of those where I kept going wrong. I kept picking it up and putting it down and forgetting where I was. And, you know, it's not exactly rocket science, this bit, but I still kept getting it wrong. Anyway, it's like that. There you go. So you can see I'm increasing at either end of these DPNs. When it gets big enough, we'll transfer it over to magic loop or to a circular needle. I'm not sure which yet, but you can see the pops of neon there. Stitch marker, another gorgeous stitch marker from Soraya Malika. So yeah, I had to frog this 3 times. What is the matter with me? This week is just, I don't know. First of all, there is still, there's a very small mistake in it, but hopefully when the shawl is knit, it will be so big and so honkingly beautiful that nobody will notice it. You're actually doing stockinette here, so in the round, which is why you're getting this reverse stockinette look here. But when I went away and came and picked it up again, I was just knitting. I was just doing knit stitch. So I had to pull that out. Then I got my increases wrong. And then I found out that I'd done, you can see it, and that's really irritating me. So I may end up ripping this out again. But for all of it, it had been fine. Apart from one needle, I'd done a purl row when I should have done a knit row. I think we should call this, I don't know, the week of being a plank. And don't ask where I get that from either. It's the kids. A plank. That's Hannah's particular insult. If you're being particularly stupid, it's you're a plank. So this is the episode of the plank. Anyway, it's gonna be beautiful. I have got magic circle cast on. That's what it says. I can't show you much more because it's a paid for pattern. And obviously that would be rude to do that. But I'm about to go on to section 2, and then there's some brioche and some ribbing and some lace. Let's hope I have more of a, or less of a plank week coming up, and I can get some more of that done. But it's, do you know what it puts me in mind of this? Did you used to, at school, get twigs and make sort of like a spider's web and then wind yarn around it to create a spider's web effect? Just what that is, isn't it? It's like that. Oh, happy days. Anyway, that's that. I feel like I'm kind of not really here. I'm in a really weird zone today. I do apologise for that. Right, so that's all really I'm going to show you. Book People Shawl got a little bit of love, not a lot of love. And my self-striping socks got a bit of love. And various other things I dabbled. What I have done though is I have begun a new weaving project. Oh, and I'm just dropping yarn on the floor. Sorry about that. I have been wanting to weave something for a particular friend for some time now. So I thought this week, seeing as I seem to be making a complete hash of all my knitting, I thought I'd go and do something that I was a bit safer with, fingers crossed. So I walked up my 32-inch loom, my rigid head loom, and I decided I was going to make some fabric from some self-striping yarn. So I've done a little clip because, as I've said before, it's quite hard to show you that sort of thing live, as it were. So I've done a clip and I will put that in here. So I'm weaving in the kitchen at the moment because it's just a nice place to weave, really, isn't it? Look at that. Also giving a bit of medicinal treatment to my plants, and of course is my boy. Oh, floor's dirty, don't look at that. Okay, so I've got the 32-inch loom out today, and I have warped and I've made a start on this fabric here. So let's go right in close. You can see this is the sorry, it's come back a bit, the selvage. Lost my words then. So this is just a plain I put in there, and this beauty is self-striping sock yarn, and it's from Giddy Yarns, Helen at Giddy Yarns, and it's called Stormy Rainbow, and I'll show you the ball. It's over here in my little pink thing because it's easier to wind it onto the shuttle from there. How gorgeous is that? And then I've wound, heavily loaded my stick shuttle here because I wanted to keep the right order of the colours. So ideally I don't want to have to top that up, and I might be alright. Oh, excuse me. It's so pretty on there, isn't it? So the person I'm making this for loves grey. And so I decided I would use, I've just used a 4-ply yarn on cone. Can't think what it is, whether it's merino or not. It's quite woolly, for the warp. And then I'm just going straight across, and I'm going to go straight up and make a length of fabric, which I'm then going to stitch into a cushion cover. Then what I might well do, because I think I'll have enough, I'm going to rewarp, but with cream, with white, or with a colour, and do another one. So we've got a couple that are the same but different. So yeah, so that's the effect. I quite like that. Plays with your eyes a bit, but so that's what I've got on the loom this week. And there's a little view of the garden for you. Oh, here you are. Let's finish up with that because that's lovely. So that's where I'm at with that fabric. It's actually going to be a cushion. And I can say that because the friend I'm making it for, I don't believe she watches the podcast, so we're okay. Big fan of grey though. That's Henry shaking under the table. Sorry about that. The only thing I was going to add there is I love weaving with self-striping yarn, but there are a couple of things you have to remember. So any weavers out there who aren't sure about this, judge what you do is I pull out the first repeat of colours from the ball and I measure the repeat of each colourway, so I know how much I've got to play with. So for example, with Helen's yarn, which is Giddy Yarns, that's where the self-striping came from, her colourway repeat, I think the grey was something like, it was over 200 inches, forgive me, I still use inches, and the bright colour, the rainbow repeat, I think was about 70. I'm not sure offhand. Again, I wrote it down. And would it be 70? Yeah, because I knew the width that I was weaving would give me about 4 repeats. So 4 weft throws of those bright colours each. So what you want to make sure is if you want to get that self-striping effect and have decent sized bands of colour, make sure your width is conducive and relates well to the length of each colour repeat. Also, when you wind onto a stick shuttle, you have to remember that you wind on and then you pull from the outside of the stick shuttle. So if you're then matching up colours, if you have to wind on some afterwards, make sure that you're matching up. You stop winding when you get to the colour that you've just finished, rather than using it on the inside. It's a bit like winding a ball of yarn and pulling from the outside, not the centre. If you're not a weaver, that probably was totally boring and irrelevant. I apologise, but I just wanted to make that point. Anyway, hopefully that cushion, I will put some time into it this week. I've done it on a black background, as I mentioned in the clip, but I think I may well do one onto a cream as well to get a matching pair. Not sure. See how the week goes. So that was some weaving. So that was good. What else? I'm going to look in my notebook. Cross stitch. Yes. Rosa is done. Well, Rosa isn't done. Rosa is done all bar her spectacles. So there you are. She's got eyes, she's got a head, she's got hair. She can't see very far though, because they're really big specs. So I've done that, and I've made a start on her bus as well. So that was really good. I did that on Sunday. I tend to do cross stitch on a Sunday, so it'll be slow, but we're getting there. Slow and steady wins the race. So that's my cross stitching. Spinning. I told you this was about everything. I've done so many different bits of different things this week. Spinning, if you remember last week, I had spun the Shepherd's Hut fibre called Pear Drops, and I'd spun 1 bobbin full of singles, and I was aiming to get the second one spun. Well, I did, but I haven't plied it. In fact, it's right just here, and I just started plying it last night, but I didn't want to rush it, so I left it. But I can show you the 2, there you go. These are the 2 bobbins of singles. So pretty. I'm so about these colours at the moment, and they're actually plying out to the most fantastic colourway of yarn. The only downer is, actually, let's leave that there. You can apply this because they deserve to be admired. They're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. Sorry, I've been thrown now because I just had a notification up on my phone telling me I need to check in with the COVID thing. I have the app on my phone where you just fill it out every day to say that you have no COVID symptoms, and it helps them track. I've been doing that for weeks. Hannah and I both do that. So anyway, sorry, distraction. What was I saying? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's spinning up beautifully, but typically for me, it looks to me like it's going to be finer than worsted weight, which is a little bit of a bummer because I wanted its worsted weight to put into my Koivua sweater, the Caitlin Hunter sweater that I'm going to be knitting in the autumn. But it's probably looking at like sport weight. Having said that, but it's Polworth, it's quite lofty, it might totally floof up, and it might be worsted weight. I'm not very good at predicting these things, so we'll have to see. But I've got a good amount of it, certainly. So I am absolutely thrilled with that, and I will probably be doing that later on this afternoon. My next lot of spinning is probably another pinkish tone. But yes, the other thing, look at this, I wanted to show you. Sorry, I'm getting excited now. Okay, so this is the colourway I'm in love with from Shepherd's Hut that I'm spinning. This is another colourway that I'm also, look at that. How similar. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Can you see that? They're so similar in tone. This is a skein of yarn from Emily at the Yarn Brary. Look at that label. I just think that's inspired. This is her classic sock and it's called Sonnet. And it is just beautiful. Now that's out because I have recently made a blanket. I've woven a blanket for Emily. And this was one of the skeins she sent me. It was left over. I think she sent a couple and I used one in the blanket and not both. And I messaged her and I said, can I keep it, please? So I'm going to send her one as a swapsy because she wouldn't take payment for it. So Emily, if you're watching this, you're going to get a swapsy one back. So, but I cannot tell you, I just adore this colourway. And I can't decide. I really can't decide whether it should go into a shawl or whether it should go as socks, or even, do you know what, the what is it? The slouchy hat. I can't remember, but it's the pattern, the free pattern that I have knit it as well. I can't remember, but it's just a slouchy beanie hat that would show off that colour. Would be really lovely. And actually I did buy, I'm not even supposed to be on acquisitions yet. I am so all over the place at the moment. If I had a brain, I'd be dangerous. Right, here we go. I did buy another skein though this week or last week, and it just came, and it's funny, it's along similar lines to Emily's thing. My friend Helen, who's Giddy Yarns, who was a lovely friend well, she's still a lovely friend. She used to live down here and come to Socks on the Beach. She now lives up in Scotland, and so we don't see her these days. But she's doing, or she does a series of dyeing colourways based on children's books, and I've been looking at those for ages. And some of them are just so pretty. So I bought this one, which is her Secret Garden, the Secret Garden colourway, based on the cover of it's Frances Hodgson Burnett, wasn't it? I'm sure it's Frances Hodgson Burnett, I think, wrote The Secret Garden. I will have to check that. But anyway, because she wrote Little Princess as well, didn't she? But look, it's so pretty. And then if you put those, you see those two together are just beautiful. Anyway, they were my new yarns there. Oh, and then if we're on newcomers to my stash, do you remember last week? Gosh, I really am all over the show, aren't I? I showed you one of my next cast on was going to be Luna Lovegood's Spectre Specs gloves. Those, well, just oh dear, if I leave that kind of, I don't show you the details of the book. So they're there, and I managed to get those. How brilliant a match are they? I'm so pleased. So just have a look again. There you go. Dee-dee-dee. So the designer, Stephanie Lotvin, she's Telebeen Knits, isn't she? I've just sussed that. Used Leading Men Fibre Arts. She used indie dyed skeins, and it was a bit difficult because obviously an indie dyed skein is 400 grams of fingering weight, and they took about 4 skeins with all the different colours, and you know, I'm not going to buy that much fingering weight yarn indie dyed to make a pair of gloves. As much as I would love to. So I tracked down, I was going to do drops. If you remember, I was talking about doing them in drops alpaca 4-ply, but they didn't do the right colours. They didn't do the vibrant colours that I really wanted. And I ended up with Rowan Baby Cash Soft Merino 50 gram balls. Very budget friendly. I think I will only need these 3 because if I think about, well, my cup of tea mitts, they took less than 50 grams for those 2, and they were long. I know this has got fingers, but they were long as well, so I think that's going to be fine. I may even have some left over, but I am really excited about casting those on. They've got corrugated cuffs, which I love, so I might get those started depending on how my cast-on-itis goes. Right, so they're new things. That's something different. Okay, just give us a sec. Have a cup of tea. I think we need to move on to my most exciting thing now. What have I done? Yeah, let's move on. For the love of all that is good, Nikki, let's move on. Okay, I have finished up, I think, so far. I've made huge progress on my record cards that you remember I spoke about last week. So we had, first of all, I received the loose ring binders in the post. Do you remember I'd ordered some? So I received a pack of those, which was great. So I could start putting this together. We then had these cards, if you remember, that I had printed off and cut them all up. I had my guillotine. That was fun. And so I made a load of those cards. What I then decided I wanted to do was put them all together and make ones for spinning and weaving and sewing and so on. I had some fabulous ideas in the comments last week. Brilliant. I mean, who was it? Apologies. Was it Karen? It may well have been Karen down in Australia who said you could use them as bookmarks. If it wasn't Karen, I apologise. So you could actually, if you wanted to keep this as a book journal, just make these into book details. Use that as a bookmark until you finish the book and then, put it together like that. So many things you could do, and I'm so excited about this. So this is where I am so far. Are you ready? Actually, I put it on Instagram, didn't I, yesterday? So it's probably not a surprise, but that's where I'm at. And for some reason, I wanted to put, did I mention that I also love to ... And so then we've got knit, crochet, weave, spin. And then I've got some more dividers ready to go in there when I want to. So I made this little book cover. I printed it. It's got a back as well. I tore the corrugated cardboard, but I really don't mind about that. And then, so if we go to the first tab, you see that knit. And what I do, you recall, I have decorated the front of this card with a reminder of the Black Sunday Cup of Tea Mitts saga. So I've got the yarn ball label. I've got a bit of the pattern. I decided to put a sample of the yarn up here because I'm really excited that eventually I'm going to have yarn all the way around, so it's going to be a really tactile little book. And then in there I wrote my details. I did, didn't I? Yes. The colourway, the details, the dates and all of that. So then I also, actually this shouldn't be in here, I've left my Paloma in there just to demonstrate the book. And I've also now obviously been able to put my Grey Gardens in there as well to show that that was one I finished, and I put the yarn sample down there. So that's the knitting section. Let me just turn back to the front. Oh, I probably need to put a marker in to get me back to the front. There we go. So then I haven't put anything in the crochet section. I also went about at the weekend. I'm very much about tactile textures, all that sort of thing. So I decided to decorate some of my cards like this. So I basically, again, these are the front, and the back, no, they're the front. So, and you can see if I turn them over, these were prototypes, so I was just fiddling. So I zigzag stitch all the way around the edge as well as glued the fabric on. And these were all scraps I used from my quilting that I've been doing. So again, they're in there. And if you were making, perhaps if you were making cards as notes on your quilting or on your sewing projects, that might be a way to decorate the front of your cards. But those, I think, there's another one. That's another one there. So this really is meant to be as sort of scrappy and as rustic as you can make it. Look, so pretty, so love those. I did need to put them under a couple of heavy books overnight because obviously the glue gluing the fabric on, it did bend the card a little. This, as I mentioned, also is craft card stock, which I had a chat with my friend Deborah, who said that particularly in the States you call it card stock, not cardboard, and it goes through the printer. It goes through a laser printer or an inkjet printer. Then in my spinning section, see that? Henry's walking up and down now because he obviously wants some attention. I decorated the front of my card there. So this is the fibre that I just showed you, the singles on the bobbins. I stuck the label and did some drawing, and then I found the card, so I've just stapled that on, which is fine. And then over here, okay, so you can see. So I put the fibre, the content and what it was called. And then here, oops, there, we've got what you are aiming to spin. So if you're doing an intentional spin, if you're being optimistic, for me it'd be optimistic, I'm ticking what I want it to be, and then down here is where you put your length and actually the weight that it has come out. So again, you've got a record there. Yeah, one of those options, I don't know if you saw it, it said I'll take what I can get. And then that bottom one there, look. No, but I love it anyway. And that's my spinning. I haven't put my weaving project in there. I need to design the fill-in bit for the weaving. And I may well do a stitching one, but we'll see. So that is currently my little obsession, the joy of my life. I'm sorry if you think it's really lame. I hope you don't think it's really lame, because I'm really excited by this. The other great thing is that, and I should have said actually, for those who didn't see it, these are the cards. You fill out a card when you start a project, you tuck it in the project bag and you keep it with that project until it's finished, so that if you have any notes or any mods or anything, you can just jot them down there and you'll always know. It gives you your needle size, you know, it's a quick reference. Once it's finished, you then pop it in here. And with this, as it gets bigger, these are the smallest rings I could get, but you can get 2-inch, 3-inch rings there. So this could potentially be really thick and chunky, and you could have all these bits of yarn and fabric. Oh, so excited about this. I'm so excited about this. I hope you like the idea. What I'm going to do, and again, you know, you were quite excited about it last week. Well, excited, you know, you were supported my enthusiasm, shall we say, for it last week. I have created for these in particular, these record cards, I've created a PDF document, just an A4 size document, which gives you 4 of these on a sheet of A4. And what I want to be able to do is I'm going to put it online somewhere. I haven't decided where yet, with some of these other templates, and you can just download them. So if you'd like to create one of these, then you can download the templates for free. It's not, you know, I'm not selling them. I may put some packs together of the sort of style I would do and use them as prizes or gifts or what have you. Things like, you know, your little book covers, things like that. But the knitting, the crochet, the spinning cards, I will put templates, PDF templates, either on my Facebook page, on my Hugs from Clara Facebook page, or if I set up a Ravelry group for the podcast, I'll put them on there. And then you can download them. Now, again, my friend Deborah suggested I film a little tutorial showing how I put all these together. Maybe if people are interested, I could do that. But I think really, it's just something I've had so much fun doing, and I genuinely think these are really useful and really practical if you're the sort of person like me who has 500,000 knitting notebooks. There's never one there when you need it, so your project notes are always half done or you can't be bothered to do them anyway, whereas this is just basic information and you can make it pretty. You can make it pretty and you can have a little book like this. I love my book. I love my book. Anyway, that's that. That is the thing that I'm super excited about, and I've probably spoken for far too long about it, but I love it. Right. Very briefly, a couple more things then. Very briefly, let me just have a quick slurp, a sip and a slurp, a sillip. Never mind. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, when I bought the new project bag from Made by Rachel from Etsy, I also bought some of her little hexies. Hang on, I've got them wrong way around. For English paper piecing. When I was doing my quilting class, I was planning, my next class I was planning to do was one on English paper piecing, quilting, patchwork. And obviously, you know, everything hit the fan, so we didn't quite get there with that. But Rachel sells, she uses her little remnants and she sells pre-cut hexies using a whole variety of her fabrics that she's used in her bags. And some of them are fussy cut. So you've got, there's one, let's have a look. So look, you've got a butterfly right in the center there. You've got this, I think this is a Tula fabric. Chickens, pink chickens. Oh, look at this, gorgeous. I think it's a fox. Yeah, that must be a fox. So you've got all of these, and then you've got some gorgeous red gingham. You've got just some little flowery dots and things. And you've got 50 of these in a pack. I think they're really reasonably priced. I think they're about £7 or £8 for a pack of 50, because she also sends you the pre-cut paper squares. I mean, it's, yeah. Winner, winner, black bean vegan dinner for those of you. So you get a 50 and 50. So they've been sitting there, and I couldn't decide. I need to watch the old YouTube for some instructions on this, although intuitively I think I know where I'm at. But I didn't know whether to sew them, to base them stitching wise, or whether I knew you could glue them. So I contacted the shop owner where I go for my classes, and she glues. So she popped in the post for me this fabric glue pen. It's got the price on the front, never mind. It was £5.90. And it just arrived this morning. So it's a Soline fabric glue pen. So again, this week I may start doing some of those. I did get my half square triangle quilt out to do some yesterday, but then I put it away again. Just, it wasn't going to happen. Nothing was really like last week. So there you go. So I think that's all. I'm looking around. No, I think I'll probably stop there. I have started reading a new book, just for you all to know. This isn't part of my book review, that will be coming up shortly. But last night I picked up a book that I've had for years. And I know it's for years because I found the receipt inside it. And it was from 2017. And this was the book that all through my senior school life and academic life was a book that has come up in various conversations about it being a classic to read. And again, this week I've just not been able to get into a book. And you know me, I love to read. So I've been dipping in and out the sort of books like the Yarn Harlot books or some Bible study books or some prayer books, and just reading piecemeal, and it's not really ticking the box. So last night I thought, no, enough is enough. And I picked up a little bit of light reading for bedtime. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. Say that when you've had a few. So I've started reading that. I won't talk about that now, but I will let you know. I have enjoyed what I'm reading so far anyway. But for the book review, which is coming up imminently, after I've gone and got another cup of tea, sorry, I thought that was somebody coming in then, is actually going to be the Pop Larkin Chronicles, otherwise known as The Darling Buds of May by H.E. Bates. And this is one of the few times when I actually bought the book that had a photo of the television series on. Normally, I hate doing that. I much prefer the original illustrated covers. But because I was particularly madly in love with the Larkins and with the TV show, I bought the book with the picture on it. So that will be coming up next. If you're not interested in the book review, then time for you to sign off. Toodle pippy. I'm going to go and make myself a cup of tea, get some things sorted out, and then come back and do the book review for you. So those of you who are going, I hope you enjoyed what I talked about. It was very waffly today. I think I took about 5 breaths. Now a bit of my tongue. Oh, no. I took about 5 breaths the entire time of the podcast. But yeah, it's all part of being creative, isn't it? So yes, yeah, it is. Have a great week. And I will see you next week, hopefully. If you would like to subscribe and give me a thumbs up, that's brilliant. If we can get to 1,000 subscribers, I mean, yeah, there'll be a serious happy dance going on here. Let's just say that. There's my promise to you. We get to 1,000 subscribers, there will not only be a giveaway, there will be a happy dance. Not seen since I believe I lost weight the first week back at Weight Watchers. I seem to recall on my vlog, I did a pretty cool happy dance. Yeah, so take care, and I will see you all next week. And the rest of you who enjoy the book reviews and like to discuss things literary, I will see you in a few moments. Okay, so it's time for the book review. I've just recorded a whole long segment and the dogs were in here, and Henry started chewing a bone. Honey climbed all over the back of my head, jumped off and started playing with a bone on the floor, and it was a bit of a disaster. So I've thrown them out, so hopefully they won't be scratching on the door. So that I can at least get the book review done, so I can get the podcast up. And I think I said I might, if there's anything to salvage from that. The sun is, it's been a beautiful day. The sun is sort of setting. It's early evening now, so it all feels very relaxed. So sit back, have a relax. And I'm going to talk to you about the author H.E. Bates. I believe it was Harold Edward Bates. I could be lying. Doesn't actually tell me here. He's just known as H.E. Bates. Born at the turn of the 20th century and was famous for writing books about English country life. The most famous of which, I would hazard a guess, is the Larkin family, who lived on a farm in Kent. And it was popularised in a TV show, The Darling Buds of May, back in, oh my goodness, probably the 80s, I want to say. Possibly late 80s, I don't know. Anyway, that's the book I've got. And you'll recognise, if you know British actors, we've got Pam Ferris, David Jason, Philip Franks, and of course Catherine Zeta-Jones, who first came to real fame in this show actually. But this was a Sunday tea time show that I think the whole country fell in love with. But I decided I wanted to read the original stories, which do differ a little bit from the TV show. This book is a collection of the stories, so there's 5 in here. So you could possibly buy them separately if you want to. We've got, no, there's 1, 2, 3, there are 5. The Darling Buds of May, A Breath of French Air, When the Greenwoods Laugh, Oh to Be in England, and A Little of What You Fancy. So they're all the books that are contained within this one. But I really just, after thinking about last week and looking at the Debbie McComber thing, these stories, they kind of remind me of My Family and Other Animals, that kind of genre of a little bit crazy but idyllic country life, British eccentricity possibly, the sort of life that we'd all really love to lead. They live on this idyllic setting in the Garden of England, Kent as it's known, and it's really, Pop and Larkin have 6 children, 7, I'm not sure, because she has another one. And Ma Larkin is this very plump, jolly, fun-loving, wonderful cook, great mum type of person. Pop Larkin is this charming, mischievous sort of rogue who lives life to the full. And then there's the children who will have their own adventures as well. And it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful book. It is, obviously it's dated. I mean, it's set in it was written in 1958, so it is set in the 50s in England, but that's a lovely time anyway. It's funny, it's heartwarming. There's bits, if you have watched the TV series, or if you did watch it years ago, be prepared, there are quite a few different bits in this to the TV show. They've left quite a lot out of the TV show that are in the actual books. But if you just maybe were to get one rather than buy a hulking great big one like this, funnily enough, I wouldn't normally buy book covers that have TV show photos on them. I would much rather buy the original illustrations of books, or at least the pre-TV, pre-film version ones. But this one, because I was I was in love with this family, basically. And I mean, just that scene, it's just evokes so much. They sit outside, they have this huge long trestle table outside their farmhouse, and they're shelling peas, aren't they, and sorting out strawberries, and they have parties there, and they know the village community. They're looked down on by the posh wealthy lot, but they're the ones that always come through. It really is a lovely tale of idyllic life in the British countryside in the 1950s, basically. It's beautifully written, as you'd expect from what is considered to be a classic author. The characters are great. There's a whole variety of characters, and I would say this excuse me, in terms of literature, this is probably on the next rung up, or above the book I was talking about last week. So above the Debbie Macomber book, I think this wouldn't come under kind of easy reading or sort of chick lit, but it's thoroughly enjoyable and gentle and delightful, basically. So again, if you're looking for a nice read, even if you live over in the States or in Australia or somewhere, and you want to read a lovely story about 1950s England, this is your book. Well, any of these books. The first one probably is the best, The Darling Buds of May. And yeah, I would just thoroughly recommend it. I mean, to be honest, I think I'd recommend the TV show as well. If you can pick up the TV show now on one of the streaming channels, watch it, because it's just delightful. So there you are. It's only 6 minutes. Wow. Do I normally read you? I normally do read you a little bit, don't I? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Let's see how it opens. There we go. I'll just read you the opening sentence and you can get an idea, the feel for it. So this is from the first book, The Darling Buds of May. After distributing the 8 ice creams, they were the largest vanilla, chocolate and raspberry super bumpers, each in yellow, brown and almost purple stripes. Pop Larkin climbed up into the cab of the gentian blue, home-painted 30 hundredweight truck, laughing happily. Perfect weather. You kids all right at the back there? Ma, hitch up a bit. Ma, in her salmon jumper, was almost 2 yards wide. I said, you kids all right back there? How do you think they can hear you? Ma said. Pop laughed. The strong May sunlight, the first hot sun of the year, made the bonnet of the truck gleam like brilliant blue enamel. All down the road, winding through the valley, miles of pink apple orchards were late in bloom. showing petals like perfect confetti. Zinnia and Petunia, Primrose, Victoria, Montgomery, Mariette. Pop unrolled the handsome ribbon of 6 names, but only heard 5 separate answers, each voice choked and clotted with ice cream. So, you know, it's... excuse me, so we know 6 kids, don't we? It's lovely, those kind of descriptions. You can imagine those big ice creams, and yeah, I would thoroughly recommend this. So yeah, that's a couple of fairly gentle reads for you the last couple of weeks. Next week I am planning to get Hannah to do a review of a classic that she has read, which is one that I love. I won't give it away now, but I did ask her to do it today, but she's a bit busy with her essay work, so we'll be doing that one, and then possibly I will obviously let you know how I get on with A Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, the Solzhenitsyn book that I've just started. I love that word, Solzhenitsyn. But yes, I also have a few Christian books that I would love to recommend to you, so I may pop in a few of those. Some they're more biographies, a couple of fictional books, but yeah, perhaps I'll throw a few of those in as well, because, you know, no harm in putting all different types and genres out there. But for today, Darling Buds of May, fantastic reading, jolly good stories and fun, and perfect reading actually for an evening such as this, to be honest. So that's our lot for today. Bit of a strange one because I've been well, as I said, been all over the show this week, but hopefully you've picked up some good ideas or suggestions, or you might even have learnt something. Probably highly unlikely today. I will love you and leave you. I will say, as always, thank you for watching. I hope you're all keeping well, and I hope you're all, you know, as the restrictions outside start to ease, perhaps you're dipping a toe into the outside world again. But whatever you're doing, I hope that you stay safe. And obviously, I'd love you to be more sheep and keep cheerful.